I don't really have an answer for why I'm making this video or just recording myself talk, but I just would at least like to vocalize, say these things out loud without just talking to myself, because when I talk to myself, I kind of feel like I'm just getting anyway. So I'm not gonna explain who I am or anything like that, because for the past about 13 years of my life, my life has gone from relatively peaceful to slightly on edge to homeless to looking behind my back everywhere to just being in a state of nothingness to now just where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm just at any moment I could just just yell and throw all my stuff across the room and just I want to change. Over time I've noticed that I've gotten worse as well. A lot of things that even though I'm not old at all, I'm actually pretty young. I don't know, I just feel like all my life is just catching up to me, and I feel like it's all too much for me. And why am I confiding in recording on my phone? Well, it's just I don't really have a whole lot of people I can talk to. I mean, friends, I don't really have any friends. I used to have a really good friend group, and it was honestly really nice, and I honestly really did enjoy myself, but it's just everything else in my life, just kind of took precedent and was starting to, affect me with them, and I couldn't control myself, and I just, kind of started to, act out because, I wasn't, I couldn't act right, I couldn't socialize properly because of, all that was going on. And then some other friends I had just weren't good for me, and I kind of feel like they hated me or just didn't like me or something, and I stopped talking to them a month or two ago. And family, I mean, technically I have a big family, but I mean, half my family has kind of I don't want to say disowned, but I haven't talked to them in quite a long while, like 5 years, or actually no, it's been longer than that. But and then the other half of my family is almost just as deranged. Not to say the other half of my family is deranged, but like, I don't know, actual people that I can talk to, there's not very much. I mean, save for my mother and my aunt. I mean, it's basically it. Like, not even my grandmother is. Well, I mean, God bless my grandmother. I mean, she's getting older and she has dementia, so all that comes with that. But it's kind of tough because I feel like I don't really have anybody to talk to. I just feel like a lot of, things are just happening in my life, and a lot of, things that I've experienced and been through are converging right now. Like, I literally see how almost all the years of me being, I don't want to get too specific with this because I might just post it onto the internet or something, just, or the hopes one person might comment, but I'm just, maybe looking for some advice, just, I don't know what to do because I so want to change. I want to change so bad. Lately, I've just, for the past 2 or 3 years, wow, it's gonna be 3 years. I've just been, just like, I wouldn't say a shut-in because I'm not like a Discord mod or something like that, but I'm just like just alone. I don't have any friends. I really don't have any family that I can confide in. The family that I do can confide in, my own personal problems are keeping me from sharing anything, and I actually did try and, no, I'm not gonna say that. I did try opening up with my mother recently, but she had to go to work, and she kind of just said we can talk about it later or something, which is fine. I mean, she's entitled to that, but I was trying to tell her something that I had worked up the courage to talk about for months or even years, and I don't know, I guess it just put into perspective to me how much my parents don't know, that I really am just extremely self-contained, how I'm almost in my own little world, and I don't know. But yeah, for the past couple years, I've just been in my room, just getting older. I mean, one positive over these past couple months is that from like 2019 to like 2023, I would say I did gain. I didn't become obese, but I did have a noticeable gut and fat on my body. So like in 2025 this year, I've just been focusing on losing that weight, and I have lost a considerable amount of fat on my body, which is very good, and I want to continue doing that. And I don't know, but I just find it so hard to just get up and brush my teeth and take a shower. I do take a shower and all that, and this sounds like such an awful thing to be saying like that, but it's just become so hard for me, man. It's just so hard. But that's life, I'm kind of tearing up just saying that, just because I'm just being brutally honest, and I don't know. I mean, and it's not even like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I haven't been depressed before. 100%, I was depressed and suicidal like years ago, and even like a couple like last week, to be honest. But that's just, what's kept me through it all? This right here. One thing that I have up on the world is this right here. I have a Bible. I'm a Christian. I look to God and I have faith in God, and You know, people say that, oh, he's not real, or oh, he doesn't love you or anything like that, but I feel like that's not true because, you know, when I decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I gotta, something's gotta change. And I for a long time I've been trying different things, you know, just trying to find something to fill the void. But I just decided, I mean, I haven't tried, you know, really focusing on my relationship with God and all that. And I just zeroed in on that, and I gotta say that it's just something about God and the Holy Spirit and all that, and just really just it gives you a different kind of, you know, peace. Or it's not peace in the term you might think, where it's like, oh, peaceful, like, oh, birds chirping, happiness. No, it's more just like a endurance, a strength, you know, almost like it all the chaos of the world doesn't phase you. And I feel like that's a good analogy for my life, how it's like my I wouldn't feel, you know, like it's wrong to say that my almost my entire life has just been filled with absolute chaos. My family is a mess. I I have basically nothing. If I died tomorrow, no one would know who I really was. And I'm not saying I'm gonna die tomorrow. I'm just saying, like, you know, that's the reality of the situation. And the shame is that I know the person I can be, because truth be told, underneath all the million layers of sadness and apathy and just mental blocks that, you know, I really am I feel like I'm not a horrible person. Like, I don't want, I don't, I mean, obviously, like, I would, like, I don't want, like, I don't know, I feel like just all I really want is just for my life to work out, you know. All I really want is just, you know, uh, a wife who loves me, and yeah, a girlfriend would be nice. Someone who loves me and someone that I could love like that. And I don't know. But, you know, I wouldn't just want a girlfriend like that. I would, even though, like, yeah, it'd be awesome if I just, you know, ran into, you know, my future wife all of a sudden one day. If it would happen like that, it'd be definitely a leap of faith, because I really have no idea. In my mind, realistically, I'd like to, you know, socialize a lot more, get a new friend group, you know, and just, you know, socialize a lot more, get back into the world, and you know, make sure I just don't fall for the first person that, you know, comes in my way, you know. Gotta make sure that, I would date somebody with intention to marry, just because, you know, I feel like, I don't know, if you couldn't tell already, yeah, my family's kind of messed up. Um, so because of that, I don't curse my family. I don't say, like, oh, I don't care about my family, because truth be told, how much it hurts to say, to be honest, I do really truly love my mother and my father. They're important people in my life, and whether or not it's the right thing to do, morally, I want to honor them, not by, like, oh, giving them money or anything like that, but, like, I want to just be, you know, One thing I realized is funnily enough, that I looked at everyone in my family, and I thought of all the, family members that I knew of in my family, because there's like, anyway, and, my family's just so chaotic, but, my family name, it's, everyone's just, changed their name to, a different family. And I noticed, and I'm not trying to be selfish or self-centered, or like, oh, look at me, like that, but like, I realized that, like, I'm the last person in my family to actually, have the family name. And to me, I just feel like, man, you know what, I know I gotta bring myself back to reality. I don't actually have the family name, because my name was, I'm not gonna get into that, because I feel like that'd be too personal of something to post on the internet. But yeah, when I like sign papers and like, write my name and stuff, I put the family name. So yeah, I don't know. I just want to, I just want to right the wrongs of my family, because in all my family, it's either, it's crazy, because this, I don't know what to do, because a lot of marriages in my family, like 90% of all the marriages in my family, just completely fall apart. And including my immediate family. And I don't want that to happen. I wanna marry. In my opinion, I don't really know if there's such thing as a soulmate. I feel like there's people, that you can be compatible with, and would work better than others together with. And that makes more sense to me, rather than there being a soulmate or whatever. But I don't know for sure. But I feel like I'd want to marry someone who would, be compatible with me, and I with them. And just so I feel like, honestly, a lot of times, this is something that I do think about, even at my young age, um whether or not I should have kids. Because honestly, I feel like where I'm at, obviously I'm not going to have kids like tomorrow or anything, but I mean, like, just the state that I'm in right now, I feel like it'd take like years of just, maybe it wouldn't take that long. Maybe the Lord will bless me with, speedy recovery. But I feel like where I'm at right now, I'd have to take a long, you know, journey almost with myself, to just, really iron out all the bugs in my mind and stuff like that, so that I can become a good father, and, find the right person that would be a good mother, so that, so that I can figure out if, I can actually have children or not. Mentally, of course, because, a lot of things happened in my family. Still do, actually, although not as much. But I just feel like, I just sometimes, actually almost every day, I think about just leaving all my problems behind, just, going on off on my own, and just seeing the world. And not seeing the world, it's not like I'd want to travel, but like, I don't know, I feel like some days I just want to put on some goggles, put on some rollerblades, some aggressive inline rollerblades, and just, go out in the world, just skate around doing tricks. That sounds super stupid, and I know, but it's just something that I've wanted for such a long time, and maybe it's, in my opinion, it's probably just something, something small that I wanted before, but now over the years it's snowballed into a giant desire of mine. And don't get me wrong, well, it kind of is actually, but yeah, just leave all my problems behind me, and just just skate around, not even just to feel the wind around my body, just feeling the wind wrapping around my body. I just feel, it feels safe, almost. Like a couple months ago I was at the track and I was running, and I haven't been back since, quite honestly, but I should though. The reason why is because I also had a problem with my feet that was causing pain, but I solved that recently. Anyway, the point is, I ran. No, I gotta stop. I started to run, and I ran and I ran, and I didn't know, I just went faster and faster, and it made me feel kind of sad, because I was feeling how fast I was running, and I was thinking, wow, I'm running super fast. But then I thought back to, the friend group that I used to have, and before I ultimately went off the deep end and just stopped, hanging out with them all together. They were all doing stuff with sports and track and all that, and they were doing that, and they were actually doing really well, and they were succeeding in getting, you know, um, getting good times and being successful in that. Like literally, like 2/3 of that friend group were like, I think only one other person wasn't doing that, and I just thought back to that, and I thought, wow, I think I'm doing well, but then compared to others, it's just, I don't know, I feel like also I'm comparing myself to them too much, because now I really don't have much to do with them, as much as I don't like to admit that, because I really did. I feel like with those group of friends, I really truly enjoyed myself and got to be, a piece of my true self, because to be quite honest, I can't really show that all too often. Not because I choose not to, but because it's just so hard for me. Because, deep down, like I said, I know the person I can be, and the person I can be is someone that's, truly happy, because, the Lord has blessed me with just this, I don't know, I'm just, really thankful person, and while I'm sure nobody else but me can see it, besides, God, I don't know, I just feel like I try to look at the bright side of things, small little things like getting a chocolate, or like cooking some food for myself, even though I cook the worst food known to man. I've tried to get better over the past few months, just to kill time, and just small things, making myself a turkey sandwich with cheese and lettuce on it, which I did that a month or two back, and now I haven't looked back. And that sounds incredibly stupid, but I mean, for me, I was like, wow, I can actually do this. And I've been on my own, really. I've just been trusting in the Lord, and He's been guiding me, and it's just baby steps, just getting to somewhere better. And ultimately, I would one day like to be free from my apathy, my apathetic tendencies, and my just indifference, and what's the word, I'm blanking on the word, but just like I'm not alright. I think my parents have been kind of don't really notice it anymore. Now they just say, "Oh, you know, you're really mature," but nah, you know, at least I'm not how it was before. You know, before I decide to pick up my Bible and read every day. You know, I was just felt like a soul, controlling my body. It was awful. It's like I was detached from this world, and it was so awful. But now I just feel like I know I'm a lot better, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful to God that I'm a lot better now. But I just know it's gonna take some time to get where I want to be, even though I feel like I might be too old to just buy a pair of rollerblades and just start skating around. I just I don't know. And also I just see, and enough about me really, because it's really hard for me to share stuff about like me and my my feelings and all that, just because I've been conditioned basically not to share that. But yeah, the crazy thing is I'm kind of I've been just inside all this time that I've been almost fantasizing the being free, which makes me sound like such a huge loser, and as like a weird person. I promise you I'm not. Maybe I need to work on my social skills a bit more, but I feel like I can talk well anyway. But I want to do more with my life, and I'm young, I'm still figuring things out with my career wise and all that, but I'm just like, for me, I'm just I'm taking it day by day. People ask me like, "Oh, what career are you gonna get into?" And, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And all that. I'm just like, man, I can't even think past tomorrow. I'm just trying to make it day by day, and I don't know. But yeah, so what I'm saying is I've actually I just want to show it off, just to it's nothing too glamorous. But over these past couple, I think starting in 2024, I just started writing things down that I thought were cool, and I ended up with like, I think at this point almost like 100 pages of notes that I've been taking of just ideas for a story, like a book or something like that I might publish someday. And what's so insanely sad about it is that it's about me. It's just a brutally honest take of myself and how I feel like I could be if I just if I could just have the courage to take that first step. But yeah, it's it's about just me, and finding friends, finding that love of my life, dealing with the issues that I've kind of collected like Pokemon, and just life, really, just dealing with life in the modern age, really. And I don't know what to do. I have that, and beyond that I have a ton of DVDs and movies and books that I've collected over the years, just to fill the void. And I'm very grateful, because over the years I have amassed a great collection of figurines and plushes, and you know, it started when I was a little kid. Um, you know, I wanted some toys, and you know, I just wanted them, but just, you know, never be able to get them. And you know, it's just a cycle that kept on repeating over and over when I was a little kid. And I guess now that I, you know, have more money and means to, you know, get more of this stuff, I just kind of, you know, just bought stuff like but yeah. Also, I never really used to play video games as a kid, but now I don't play a ton of video games, but I've been playing the Sonic games, Sonic the Hedgehog, since I was a little kid. And you know, the Sonic series is a special place in my heart, but that's not what this is about. And really, that's about it. Whoops. But yeah, you know, just been, you know, just a lot of the times, you know, even just, you know, watching a movie or playing a video game, and that's an eventful day for me. Like, that's like, wow, I really did a lot today, you know. I really was productive today, you know. Picking up the trash in my room, well, it's really productive today, you know. I'll, you know, just slap my seal of approval on the day, and I'll be like, yep, I did that. And in my opinion, I can see how that, I totally see how that's extremely, like, bro, you know, that's kind of sad. And yeah, I totally agree. But you know, like I said, I'm just slowly but surely. I mean, 2-3 years ago, I mean, I couldn't even do that. So at least I'm there. And I don't know. I also just see all the problems that are in this world. Like, I live in the United States of America, and I'm not gonna get political or anything here, but I just see that there's a lot of problems facing, you know, just the people here on the ground. How it's just like, man, like, how am I gonna, you know, live a normal life, you know, even with all my, you know, personal issues and struggles that I deal with on a daily, almost like hourly basis. And I feel like that I can barely handle that. The least I, and now I'll have to, I don't know, just, you know, life stuff, I guess. Growing up, you know, getting older, all that. But yeah, I just, yeah, you know, I just hope my life works out, you know. I just hope my life works out, and you know, I've been doing it. I've been just, again, reading my Bible daily, just, you know, trusting on the Lord, and just, you know, just praying, like, you know, Lord, just guide me today. Because to be quite honest, if had it not been for God, I probably wouldn't be here today. 100% actually, because, you know, 100%, if God didn't have a hand in my life, he would have, I would be dead. But yeah, yeah, ever since then I've been, you know, just getting closer to God and putting him as a priority in my life. And you know, slowly but surely, you know, things have changed in my life, not extremely significantly, but you know, on the inside, you know, like I said, I no longer feel the entire weight of all the chaos in my life. I feel like, you know, a lot of that pressure has been lifted, and now when I, you know, have my moments, my bad moments, where I just, you know, shut down, and I think, what's the point of it all? I just, you know, the Lord gives me the strength to, you know, just get back up and just say, you know what? the Lord is good, and you know, I can do better. And you know, I'm just glad because now I don't have to fight alone, because you know, the Lord has got it. And you know, because the Bible says, you know, the Lord fights your battles, and that's 100% true. That doesn't mean you can't put any effort into it, because don't get me wrong, I have put lots of effort into, you know, putting God as first in my life. But yeah, just God has helped me a lot through this, and you know, He will continue to help me, you know. I just hope, you know, I can stay faithful. And if any of you guys are Christian or whatever, or any religion, just, you know, if you guys could, you know, just pray for me, send a little prayer to, you know, this random guy who has a carpet that needs to be vacuumed. And just pray for me that just, you know, that I can just, you know, that everything can just work out in my life, that I can, you know, just become the person that I know I can be, because I know I can be a great, I don't want to sound like full of myself or anything like that, and it honestly kind of makes me cringe saying this, but I know I can be like, I want to be a successful person, I want to be a good person, I want to be a successful in life. I want to look back on my life and say, you know what, wow, I made it, we made it, you know, we did it. And you know, I thank God that, you know, I'm at where I'm at right now, that I know that He's not done, you know. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. You know, I was gonna talk more about, you know, the state of the climate of just the world right now and all that, but I feel like, you know, that's, to me, I feel like, you know, yeah, there's tons of horrible stuff happening in the world, and I dislike it just as much as the next sane person, you know. I don't just go around and saying, man, who cares, you know. I do care, and I do care about the people on the ground, especially because, you know, that's me, that's my family, that's people I love, you know. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy how much my life has changed and how much really it stayed the same. Like, on paper, my life has just, you know, been changed so drastically from just like a couple years ago, but you know, and really thinking about it and thinking where I was at, like, my life has just, you know, been you know, just in my opinion, just, you know, a steady decline, kind of steep decline, but you know, I'm just making my way. The Lord is, you know, helping me climb out of that, you know. I don't even know if anybody will watch this if I put this on the internet. I'm just doing this just so I can, you know, feel like I'm talking to somebody, but I don't know if I'll actually post this anywhere. But yeah, I don't know, I felt like, you know, just, I don't know what to talk about next. There's so many things in my mind that I just, you know, I feel like I can talk about, and I probably should, maybe to, you know, a therapist or something, but I haven't gone to therapy since I was like 10 years old, so maybe it might be time, but I don't know. just feel like, just keep on trusting in the Lord. If you're struggling like me right now, don't worry, man. You've got it, just like me. No, you don't got it. You don't got it. I don't got it either. I don't have the secret formula, and neither do you probably. It's the Lord. It's the Lord. It's the Lord. And if you are struggling right now and you don't got it, just like the rest of us, just, I guess, do what I did and just, find your connection with God. And yeah, and because it's given me peace, and it's given me progress, and that glimmer of hope, that what, tomorrow might be a great day. Tomorrow, the future, ever since I started focusing on God and all that, I just became excited for the future, because I really am just excited. One thing that got me through a lot of days is the sky. Actually, I know, thank God for that. I don't know, just I don't know if it's just me being like a lunatic or anything, but I mean, does anyone else feel like, when you look up at the sky and it looks so beautiful, so blue, and the clouds are just so, like, you could just take one step and you reach the heavens, and they look so beautiful. I'm almost tearing up thinking about it, just because today where I'm at, it's kind of an overcast day, and that doesn't ruin a day by any means for me, but kind of just like one less thing to smile about. Well, to be quite honest, I don't really smile all that much. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so edgy, I don't smile or anything. No. If I had my way, I wouldn't have it any other way, I mean, that's the Lord. This is where God has me, and truly, I wouldn't have it any other way, because at that point, that'd just be my plan, and I'm sure it'd work out alright, but at the end of the day, God's plan is the best plan. And so I just, put my faith in him. I guess this can also be, a public statement, that my faith is in God, the one true God, the living God that died for my and the world's sin. To save everyone, save all the people, that they may have salvation, and so yeah, I don't know, a lot of days I feel like, I looked up at the sky and it just, brought a glimmer of hope into my life, just like a little taste of like heaven, and like I feel like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I want to get to heaven so fast, I'm gonna live my life here the way God wants me to, and until the day I die, it's gonna be that way. But just I feel like, the sky to me is so beautiful. I'm not trying to be weird about it, but it's just like, that really did, really gave me that small brightening of my day, that really just got me through, just looking out and looking up and just seeing the beautiful blue sky, seeing the sun shine on it, and it's so beautiful. And just thank God for those beautiful skies. I don't know. I just feel like, I'd like to chase it. I'd like to catch that. I'd like to feel it. And a long time ago, my skin got really horribly sunburnt, especially around the back of my neck and my arms. And to this day, there's still, you can still tell a bit, and especially on my right arm, it's still extremely noticeable. But I kind of, I've been trying out some sunblocks that aren't too oily or greasy on your skin, and it made me break out. I bought two different sunscreens. I bought one that's like has more pure ingredients for your face, and one for the rest of your body, because I did actually get sunburnt on my, because I've spent a long time inside my face did actually get a, I'm not white, my race, I'm not white, but I have fairer skin, so I did sunburn because of my prolonged time indoors. I did sunburn, and it was kind of embarrassing, so I went out of my way to get a special sunscreen for your face, and that one didn't give me any rash, because the one that I put on my arms and that did. And so I might just use that one for my entire body. Yeah, I got sunscreen, whoop-de-doo. But yeah, that's just where I am in my life, I don't know. I really want to succeed, I really want to, come out of this on top, because I'd say more days than none, I feel like, what am I doing, man? What is even the point? Why do I even continue, man? There's no coming back from this. There's no, I'm ruined. Who would even care about a lifeless husk of a human being, a near waste of life of a human being? And I don't know, I just think God saved me, and for a reason. I love God, and what He's done for me is insurmountable to any person here on earth. Like, God has truly changed my life. I just feel like, I just hope through Him, that I can manage to succeed, because on my own, I probably would have just, given up. But yeah, I really hope that, my life leads to, success in the future. And I don't mean, being a millionaire or anything. Like, obviously everybody wants that, but I mean, like, in my mind, success means having, not having any issues with myself. First of all, myself is probably the most important. It will affect the people around me. So not fixing, all the problems in my mind, all the mental issues that, I've suffered with for years, a long time. And, just making peace with my family, and making sure that I'm happy, that I'm not just putting on an act for others, because I have been doing that. And so yeah, fixing myself, having a wife that loves me, and someone that I can love just as much back. Just, be, a great team, be like one. And if if God wills, you know, have some children, you know. Hopefully, one thing though in my family that I've, you know, been told basically all my life is that, you know, I'm really responsible and, like, you know, I have a good moral compass, and that, you know, I was always a good child growing up and all that. And while I do agree with that for the most part, I feel like, you know, I wouldn't really want my kids to be like me, you know, if I do end up having kids and all that. I wouldn't want my kids to be like me, or at least exactly like me, because, you know, I mean, obviously half my family being, I'm not even gonna say half, my entire family just being crazy, you know. Obviously that's gonna come with some, you know, it's gonna affect me in a way. And I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I do feel like, whoa, I need to calm down. But, you know, I just hope that, you know, I can right the wrongs of my, you know, family. And just, you know, I really just would hope that, you know, it just all ends with me, you know, because if I bring kids into this world, it would be heartbreaking to me if I would put them through anything relatively close to what I went through. And same goes for this hypothetical dream wife that I'm thinking of. If I were to do anything to her, I wouldn't be able to live with myself, because, you know, thinking where I am right now, you know, if God really does give me, you know, a woman for me that, you know, we can both, you know, be happy together and enjoy each other, that, you know, just for me to, you know, even just, you know, like being mean to her or anything like that, like I feel like that'd be a waste of it all. Like, what, like, if right now I would find out that, you know, my future self would, you know, be mean or anything to my future wife, I'd go and strangle my future self, you know, because seeing how I am right now, it's like that's such a that's feels like such a far off thing, you know. Anyway, I'm not gonna say how old I am, just because out of fear that, you know, someone I know might be watching this, and I don't know. What I really want, something that I've been yearning for a long time, is just to get away from it all, you know. Just to, you know, not run away per se, but just like go off and do my own stuff, and, like, you know, come back, you know, with my family and all that, but just, like, you know, a couple hours a day, you know, just go out and have time for myself, you know, just go out and go back to places that I used to, you know, frequent when I was a little kid, like the well, scratch that. I don't wanna dox myself here. You know, frequent places that I used to when I was younger. You know, and just, you know, not trying to relive those old memories, because I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna try and, you know, be like a kid again. No, that's stupid. But, you know, just having joy in my life, you know. And right now I'm just right here, and I'm just, you know, dealing with things. I've lost weight. I've, you know, stopped wasting my time a lot. Before I used to have like 8 hours, like 9 hours per day of screen time on my phone. And now I only have like 3 hours of screen time per day, which is, to me, such good progress. And I just want to say, what is this video? What this video is just, you know, Guess just me, just trauma. No, that's cringe. I'm just, talking basically to myself and, you know, having a hypothetical audience or just someone, I've just, for a long time, I've just been, waiting for someone, to ask me, like, hey, are you okay? Like, I've actually had that conversation in my mind before where someone just, anyone really just comes up to me and just says, really, like, means it, just say, hey, are you okay? Like, are you alright? Um, and I feel like that's all it take for me to just completely go off the rails about all this, but, I'm still on the floor. That hasn't happened yet, and it's been quite a long time, and I just feel like, maybe I'm that person that's gonna have to ask my inner self, the self that, has been hidden away all these almost decade. Just say, hey, are you okay? What do you need? And I've these past couple weeks I've been trying to do that, just having a little more whimsy in my life, something that the child inside me would like. And I'm not gonna say I had a great childhood, because in my opinion I kind of didn't. I'm not gonna get into too many details, but I mean, like, in my mind, I feel like my childhood was a lot more crummy than it probably actually was, but again, that's just due to just personal stuff, in the home. And I feel like this is just barely scratching the surface of, like what really is going on with me. But A, I don't want to, basically put everything that's wrong with me on the internet, and B, it's hard to organize my thoughts coherently to, properly express it. Whoa, it's already 57 minutes. I've really been killing time here. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get any sleep last night. I just stayed up. And I feel really sore. I'm pretty tired, but I'm gonna try and stay awake as long as I can so I don't end up sleeping during the day again. And so yeah, just in conclusion, that's just kind of a little bit of where I am right now. And just, I hope this is somewhat of an encouragement if this had, for anybody who needs it, just, if you're struggling like I am, just, it wouldn't hurt to, just get closer to God, It really helped me, but, no pressure. And to just that, I know deep down that I really am like a happier person, someone, that I think I've gained a reputation in my family of being really serious and just deadpan all the time. And it's not really who I am, and I hate being so deadpan and not being able to express any emotion and not being able to express my emotions when it's important, when I'm having a heart-to-heart with, someone when it comes to like an issue that I have. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, this basically now for real. In conclusion, this I don't want. In conclusion, this is really just if you have any problems like me, just it's basically just information, just yapping on for an extreme amount of time, but you know, if you actually watched this, you know, I really appreciate it, you know, and you probably didn't pay attention, but you know, if you're struggling at all, you know, just, or if you feel like, you know, something's missing in your life, you know, just get closer to God, you know. It'll really help you, but again, no pressure if you don't feel it. And I also really want some rollerblades, some aggressive inline rollerblades. That'd be real cool. Yeah, and just I'm kind of running out of what to say, so I just guess, yeah. This video is really not meant for anyone but me. But yeah, if you have like any advice, any tips, you know, feel free to, you know, say something. Just, I guess, thanks, and you know, if you can, please pray for me, you know. Pray for the silly guy on the internet who, you know, with the carpet, you know. Yeah, I don't think I'll make another video like this just because, you know, I should probably be having conversations like this to, you know, my family or a therapist, but you know, this is what I've got right now. So just, you know, I hope you have a great day. I hope you really, you know, feel that sunshine that today has to offer, you know. Goodbye.